You remember that sound, the rhythmic clicking of a sickle-shaped claw on a stainless steel kitchen floor, the cold reptilian eyes peering through the glass. In 1993, Steven Spielberg gave the world its greatest nightmare, the Velociraptor. A 6-foot-tall, scaly, hyper-intelligent monster that could outrun a cheetah and outsmart a lock. But there's a problem. Almost everything you just pictured is a lie. If you traveled back 75 million years to the deserts of Mongolia, you wouldn't find a scaly monster. You'd find something much weirder, and in many ways, much more terrifying. Picture a golden eagle, but stretch it out to the size of a wolf, give it a long, stiff balancing tail, and replace those wings with powerful, clawed arms. And most importantly, cover the whole thing in feathers. The raptors we grew up with on the big screen were essentially giant naked lizards, but real science tells us a different story. The true Velociraptor mongoliensis was barely the size of a turkey. It was a feathered, ground-dwelling bird of prey that looked more like a landhawk than a dragon. So, why did Hollywood lie to us? Well, it's complicated. The creatures you saw in the movies were actually based on its much larger cousin, Deinonychus, but the name Velociraptor just sounded cooler. But don't let the feathers or the small size fool you into thinking they were harmless. In the world of the late Cretaceous, the dromaeosaurids, the scientific family name for raptors, were the ultimate evolutionary scalpels in a world of sledgehammers. While the T-Rex relied on brute-crushing force, the raptor was a master of precision. They weren't just animals, they were biological weapon systems. From their specialized killer claw to their uniquely rigid tails designed for high-speed cornering, every inch of their anatomy was tuned for one single, bloody purpose: the hunt. But to understand how these creatures truly functioned, we have to look past the feathers and the cinematic hype. We have to look at the switchblade hidden on their toes. A weapon so specialized, it changed how we understand predator-prey dynamics forever. But how did a turkey-sized creature manage to take down prey 5 times its size? The answer isn't in their teeth. It's in a terrifying hunting technique that scientists are only now beginning to decode. Before we reveal the secret of the sickle claw, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're going deep into the prehistoric trenches, and you don't want to be left behind. So, how does a creature the size of a coyote take down a beast 10 times its weight? To find the answer, we have to look down. Forget the teeth for a moment. The true centerpiece of the raptor's arsenal was its second toe. Unlike other dinosaurs that walked on 3 toes, the dromaeosaur lived its life on 2, keeping the third one, the sickle claw, permanently retracted and razor-sharp. This wasn't just a nail, it was a 9-inch switchblade of keratin and bone, capable of rotating nearly 180 degrees. For decades, movies told us they used this claw to disembowel prey in one long, slashing motion. But physics says otherwise. Biomechanical studies show that these claws weren't designed for slicing skin, they were designed for piercing and gripping. Modern paleontology points to a terrifying hunting style called RPR, Raptor Prey Restraint. Picture a hawk pinning a rabbit to the ground, using its body weight to keep the victim down while it begins to eat. That was the raptor. They would leap onto the back of a struggling herbivore, sink those curved daggers into the neck or spine, and lock themselves on like a living anchor. And the most horrific part? They didn't wait for the prey to die. They used those sharp, serrated teeth to strip flesh while the animal was still very much alive. But a weapon is useless without a targeting system. The raptor possessed binocular vision that rivaled modern eagles. Their eyes faced forward, giving them the depth perception needed for precision strikes in low light. Then there's the tail. If you look at a raptor's skeleton, the tail is reinforced with bony rods, making it almost completely stiff. It functioned as a biological rudder. At 40 miles per hour, while making a sharp turn, a raptor could swing that tail to maintain perfect balance, allowing for a level of agility that no other predator on Earth could match. They were the Ferraris of the Cretaceous, built for speed, precision, and high-octane violence. But as perfect as this design was, it wasn't a one-size-fits-all model. While some stayed small and agile, others took this biological blueprint and scaled it up to nightmare proportions. Because in the prehistoric world, being a turkey-sized killer was just the beginning. Some of their cousins were large enough to look a T-Rex in the eye. You aren't going to believe how big these birds could actually get. Stick around, because we're about to meet the giants of the family. When we hear the word raptor, our minds usually go to one place, a human-sized predator. But evolution isn't interested in your comfort zone. It's a master of extremes. Imagine a creature that stands nearly 6 feet tall at the hip, stretches 24 feet from nose to tail, and weighs as much as a fully grown grizzly bear. Welcome to the world of Utah Raptor. This wasn't just a dinosaur, it was a prehistoric tank with the agility of a cat. If the Velociraptor was a surgical scalpel, the Utah Raptor was a broadsword. Its sickle claws were nearly a foot long, thick, heavy blades designed to crush through the hides of massive herbivores that no other predator dared to touch. This is the real monster that Spielberg wanted for his movies. But even this behemoth shared the same feathered DNA as its most bizarre cousin. At the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we find a creature that looks like it belongs in a dark fairy tale, the Microraptor. While its giant cousins were shaking the earth, this tiny hunter was ruling the skies of ancient China. It was barely the size of a crow, but it had a secret that changed everything we knew about the family tree. The Microraptor didn't just have 2 wings, it had 4. Its hind legs were covered in long, asymmetrical feathers, essentially turning its entire body into a living glider. Scientists recently used electron microscopes to look at its fossilized cells, discovering that it wasn't just feathered, it was iridescent. It shimmered in the sunlight with a metallic blue-black sheen, like a raven from hell. Between these two extremes, the mountain of muscle in Utah and the feathered phantom in China, lay the middle ground that defined the raptor renaissance. Species like Deinonychus proved that size was secondary to strategy. This was the animal that first convinced paleontologists that dinosaurs weren't slow, cold-blooded failures. They were energetic, warm-blooded, and terrifyingly efficient. But as we look at this incredible range of sizes, a bigger question emerges. How did such diverse animals coordinate their lethality? Did the giants hunt alone like lions, or did the smaller raptors use their superior numbers to bring down titans? The answer lies in their brains, and the evidence might be more controversial than the feathers themselves. We're about to dive into the most heated debate in paleontology, the pack hunting theory. Don't go anywhere, because things are about to get social. But all the physical weapons in the world are useless without a brain to command them. And this is where the raptor truly separates itself from the mindless monsters of the prehistoric past. If we look at the encephalization quotient, the ratio of brain size to body size, raptors were off the charts for their time. Some species had brains comparable to modern birds or even small mammals. They weren't just reacting to instinct, they were processing, calculating, and potentially communicating. We've all seen the movies where raptors coordinate like a tactical SWAT team, whispering to each other in the long grass. But does the science actually back that up? This is the most heated battlefield in paleontology today. On one side, you have the wolf model. This theory suggests that Deinonychus hunted in highly structured packs, using complex social bonds to bring down massive prey. The evidence seems solid at first. Multiple raptor skeletons found alongside a single large herbivore. But there's a darker, more chaotic theory emerging, the Komodo model. Some scientists argue that these weren't coordinated packs at all. They were mobs. Picture a group of vultures or Komodo dragons, drawn to the same carcass by the smell of blood. They aren't friends, they're competitors. They'll fight, bite, and even cannibalize each other just to get a piece of the meat. Imagine the scene, not a tactical strike, but a frantic bloodbath where the smallest mistake meant becoming the next meal for your own kind. To settle this, researchers looked at the chemistry of their teeth. By analyzing isotopes in the teeth of young and old raptors, they discovered something shocking. The babies weren't eating the same food as the adults. In modern pack hunters, like wolves, the parents feed their young. But in raptors, it seems the juveniles were on their own from day one, hunting small lizards and insects while the adults focused on larger game. If they weren't feeding their young, were they really social in the way we want them to be? Or were they something much more alien? A collective of cold-blooded opportunists that only worked together because it was the only way to survive a world of giants. Whether they were loyal packmates or ruthless cannibals, their reign was absolute for millions of years. But even the perfect killer has an expiration date. We are reaching the end of the line. The sky is about to turn to fire, and the earth is about to shake. Stick with us, because the raptor's final act is the most incredible twist in the history of life on Earth. 66 million years ago, the sun rose on a world of giants for the last time. For a predator as perfect as the raptor, there was no warning. No instinct could prepare them for a mountain of rock traveling at 40,000 miles per hour, slamming into the Yucatan Peninsula with the force of 1 billion atomic bombs. In an instant, the reign of the dromaeosaur was shattered. The shockwave leveled forests, the heat ignited the very air they breathed, and a shroud of ash choked the sky into a decade-long night. For the giants like Utah Raptor, there was no escape. Their size, once their greatest strength, became a death sentence in a world where food had vanished. But in the cold, dark silence that followed, something stirred. It wasn't the monsters that survived. It was the outcasts. The small, feathered enigmas like Microraptor and its kin. These weren't just relatives of birds. They were the blueprint. While the world burned, the raptor lineage did something incredible. It shrunk. It adapted. It traded teeth for beaks and scythe claws for wings. Look out your window today. That hawk circling a field, that crow watching you from a fence, even the humble chicken in a backyard. They are the living legacy of the most ruthless assassins to ever walk the earth. They didn't go extinct. They just changed the game. The next time you look into the eye of a bird, remember that you aren't looking at a harmless animal. You are looking at a survivor of the apocalypse, a creature that saw the fire fall from the sky and decided that the world was still hers to hunt. The sickle claw may have evolved into a talon, and the scales may have been replaced by feathers, but the spirit of the dromaeosaur remains. The raptor didn't die out, it just took to the skies, waiting for its next chance to rule. If this journey through the world of the raptor changed how you see the world, drop a comment below. Which prehistoric killer should we unmask next? Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the history of the Earth alive. We'll see you in the next one.